Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Dungeons and Dragons. I, of course, am the Wombat of Doom, or DM, since we are playing D&D. And with me, I have not only five party members, but a new cat named Amelia. So, hooray, you'll see her wandering around in the stream because she lives in my office now until she stops being a kitten for however long that takes. Um, but in the meantime, let's let the party introduce themselves. It's been a hot minute.
Hello, I am the Banewall, and I play Belzium Gilkis, who is a half-elf monk who would totally pet Amelia.
I'm Amadeus, and I play Roger Mays, Wood Elf Assassin. Wood Elf Assassin? Stay tuned and find out.
I'm Jade, and I play Ulrich Oakenhearth, the formerly living human, now vampire paladin.
I am Jaeger. I play Yarvik Fedisonberger, the Halfling Ranger, who just watched a really good and really sad video on the Amelia Earhart crash. Really sad.
I'm Atomic. I play Zippo the Kobold Sorcerer. And I, upon realization, think that he is in over his head for everything he's trying to do. Because I think I remember from last session, I listed off like a long list of things.
Yeah, there's a few things.
But I do remember getting a necklace made to store Brunhild in, so it's gonna be fun.
So that's that is some things that we'll go over. So since it has been a month, does anybody remember what are you doing?
The last thing that we did was talking to Lord Dara. The outcome of which was he vaguely likes us, only vaguely, and we didn't get executed.
What are you doing?
And then after that, we were starting to kind of detail what we would be doing, like as a montage kind of situation, as I recall.
Be a man.
That's gonna be stuck in my head all night long.
No, don't sing it. Disney will come after us, and then we'll never be able to publish this story.
I didn't sing it.
No, I know.
I was notably off key.
Singing it badly is still singing it.
And different lyric.
Yeah, we're gonna Yankovic this shit. All right, so yeah, last time we met with Lord Dara, and kind of got the lay of the land with him, at least in part. I think didn't we kind of start off with, ow, I am being munched upon. She's wild. No. We start off with the group joining the guild, or was that 2 sessions ago? I think it was last time.
I'm not sure.
We went from joining the guild to meeting Lord Dara, right?
That sounds correct.
That was in the same morning.
Or it was like the morning. It was the morning. Yeah.
So, So I think we ended with what should we call it? And Hario Deji, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. I think we ended that session 2 sessions ago with joining the guild, and that's where we ended it. And then from there, we went and visited Lord Dara amongst a few other things just at the beginning of the day. And then we kind of planned out some of the things that we do for the rest of the day, but never really acted upon most of it because we got to time. So I think that's where we'll start off. I have a list of things that people wanted to do. The only one I don't have a list from is Yarvik, because he wasn't here last time. So I guess We could start with that. Yarvik, is there any items that you wanted to accomplish in this 24-hour period that you can think of offhand?
I think the only thing was just like messing with the smoker. I think that was the
Right.
only thing. Yarvik is kind of like he just wants to get on with it, you know? It's like he's feeling antsy but determined. But he did just receive that really cool new smoker. So that was the only thing that he has on the agenda.
Fair enough. Okay. She's behind me. We're good. All right, so that's all well and good. So let's kind of go through it then. Yarvik, you kind of spend the day kind of feeling out the smoker and kind of realizing that this is going to be really useful for the group in terms of travel. You'll be able to prepare meals for the group each night, likely as long as you have the ingredients to do right by it, right? So
Right.
this will be a great way for you to kind of prepare meals in advance for the group so that you're not just eating rations each day. So you're quite excited by this. I'd say you probably get shown the ropes a little bit just to start off by Wolfgang, but Wolfgang pretty soon into the morning excuses himself to start making preparations himself. With the information that the group has given him, it seems like he's anxious to start preparing the guild for this information and what's next to come. Zippo does manage to catch him for a little bit, and I believe we talked about that slightly, so I'll kind of talk to that. So Zippo, you get the sense that Wolfgang's going to be fairly busy with helping to create magical weapons for guild members, since they realize that that's going to be their most resilient effective weapon against demons is having magical weapons. They want to make sure that guild members are equipped with that, and that's going to be the standard operating for people who join for at least the foreseeable future. So he's kind of busy with that. He anticipates he'll be able to get you the amulet in the next 5 days, but he's not sure how long it's going to take him with that all going on. But yeah, so basically, he thinks that he can probably repair the Amulet of Storms, at least to some degree, where it's complete, but maybe not functioning as a prison. He's not really interested in making a trap for a thing, and that's where he kind of got the idea to make it something for Brunhild to kind of go in and out of as you wish. So like as a Pokeball basically. I think the other side of it is that you wanted to search for elementals. At least today. You might have more plans for the rest of the week, but today I think you were trying to search for elementals to take up the cause. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you want to do in that regard to kind of assist you with that?
The only type of elemental Zippo knows for sure he can get in contact with that would be slightly friendly is water elementals, just because of past experience.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of going to go to like the waterways. He didn't have any luck in the middle last time, so we're going to go closer to like the edge of the city and see if
Right.
he can get like any kind of contact with them. He's pretty much just going to be holding the Atlan gem and dunking
Okay.
his head in water, trying to holler out for him.
And just to refresh my memory, this is something we talked about last week or last session as well, right?
Yeah.
So you made some efforts, and do you remember what happened? Just to check.
When I tried it in the middle, nothing happened.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. So you're basically going to try along the river to try and find any evidence of your friends, right?
Yep.
Okay. So I'd like you to give me let's do 3 D100 rolls if you could. And while you're doing that, I'm going to move to our next person. So I think, Roger, we did do some things with you. I remember that you went down south to kind of clear and prepare a road for the oncoming army so that they would be able to cross the river. So a lot of oh boy.
Move Earth cantrip time.
Yeah, a lot of that. Amelia is climbing on top of her crate, which is a crate. So yeah, she's kind of basically floating on air right now. Very, very tiny. She's a kitten. She'll be fine. Famous last words. There you go. Okay. All right. I feel better now. So yeah, you started doing a whole bunch of move Earth cantrips. I do see also, aside from preparing the road to the river, you also had a report that you wanted to divvy out. Now, that being said, I know there was some conditional things where you were thinking of how you were going to finalize that report and the timing of when you wanted to do that. So I guess rather than getting too specific at the moment, do you have any thoughts on that at present, or is that something you'll be kind of thinking about while you're doing manual labor?
Yeah, Roger would like to talk to Ulrich before he submits his report
Okay.
in detail about what the party has done. He probably doesn't have a lot of time to actually write it down while he's working, but he's certainly thinking about it while he's working and compiling his thoughts.
Okay.
When he gets a chance to talk to Ulrich about it, he will.
Okay. Sounds good. Maybe tonight at the end of the day. All right. Awesome. All right. So I would say I don't need you to make any checks or rolls for this. So cantrip, the spell it takes a round to do, correct? There's not really any significant time commitment for move Earth, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it does 5 feet at a time.
Right. And let's do some math. You started, let's say 10:30 a.m. and say you work for 8 hours on that. 8 hours divided by 5, that's well, sorry, let's do it this way. An hour or a minute is
It'll be 5,765 foot squares that I can move in 8 hours.
okay.
I have my
So
calculator up.
divide that by 5, and that'll tell us how many squares, right?
That's the amount of squares already.
Okay.
That's the amount of 6-second round that I should have if I'm mathing correctly.
Okay.
Or maybe not. Hold up. 8 times 3,600 divided by 6. Okay, sorry. 4,800 5-foot squares.
Okay. So 4,800 5-foot squares.
If we multiply that by 5, that gives us that number. Are you asking in miles?
No,
Is that what you want to know?
I'm more interested in how wide the road's going to be.
Let's make the road, say, 10 feet wide.
10 feet? Just 10 feet for an army?
I think they can march 2 abreast and be fine.
Okay.
If they want to march 10 or 15 abreast, that's kind of on them.
I mean,
Isn't a standard a road that we would
have-
drive? Isn't a road we would drive down like 33 feet wide or something like that, or like 30 feet wide or something? From if it has Just to got a visual frame of reference, right? If it has
Standard car lane would be at least 6 feet wide, and frequently much more than that.
right plus shoulders.
An interstate lane would be like 10 or 12 feet wide. So,
Just- as a visual, just so everybody can get a visual.
yeah, if we wanted to make this road, let's say, if we wanted to make this road 15 feet wide, that'd be this divided by 3. So I would have gotten, if it's 15 foot wide, I would have gotten 1,600 5-foot squares forward.
1,600.
Yeah, if the road is 15 feet wide.
Okay. So do you want it to be 10 or 15?
I mean, 10 isn't a significant improvement on this, and we have several days, right? Might as well make it 15 feet wide.
Okay. Do you so describe to me how you'd like to kind of chart out the road. Are you going to be doing like a 5 foot at a time and then kind of adding on to it by coming back? Like, what's your plan?
Interesting. I think Roger is fast enough that we can justify making it 5 feet long the whole way down.
Mm-hmm.
And like attempting to complete the road at all, and then focus on widening it afterwards.
Okay.
Because the road isn't useful unless it's complete. So once it's complete, then we can widen it, and we'll start widening it from our side the army would be marching from first.
Mm-hmm. And you're only charting out the road on this side of the river at the moment. It'll probably be another day where you'd be doing the other side, correct?
Yeah,
because so we're getting them around and through town.
Yeah, we're getting them to the river. It will be somebody else's job to make a bridge, and we'll run it down. I mean, if I have to make a bridge, I can dump a lot of dirt into the river, but that'll cause problems.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
So we did commission a bridge, didn't we? Or we at least asked Lord Dara to make one.
I don't believe that conversation has happened at the moment. It's more of
we mentioned it to him.
That's something that you'll want to kind of have happen. I think Lord Dara did think about logistics and was a bit apprehensive about the army coming through town, and that the bridges probably wouldn't survive it. So I think he's on the same page as you. It's just a matter of communication and coordination, probably.
I'll make a note to write a letter to Lord Dara, or perhaps speak to him in person if we can. Though he seemed more interested in talking to Ulrich than the rest of us. If he can get people working on building a bridge somewhere south of town, so that we can redirect the army around the more vulnerable bridges inside town that matter.
Fair. Okay. Other than that, anything else? I think that's probably going to take you most of the day. Do you want to, I guess, is there any, would you like to draw kind of how you're making the road from there, or are you kind of going around the edge of the map there and then coming in from like where the scale is?
Sure. I'll try and cut over as little farm as possible, but I don't think that's going to be 100% avoidable.
Yeah. I think you're a little farther down than where you are on the map just because of the cutoff from the map I've made. So feel free to show where it comes in more east of you if you need to connect with the road. And we can just kind of assume some things. Yeah.
Vaguely like that.
Okay.
If there is area without farm too far below, and I have time to make the rest of it with the intention of wrapping up this way, that's what I'll do. But if I don't have time, it will make this cut.
So I think it's important to note. I can actually probably make a good representation of what the squares are. If I can just check one thing first. So, So this basically matches up kind of. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, let's say 4 squares is about 200 meters. That doesn't sound right. Maybe it does.
200 times 3.4 gives us 680 feet, roughly. Or it's not 3.4, it's 3.
680 feet.
That's not the right conversion. It's close though.
Okay, what's the right conversion?
Meters to feet.
Yeah.
It's 3.3, not 3.4.
Okay.
All right, 200 times 3.3, or 3.28 if we want to be specific, but a little better than 650, 656.
Okay. And 656 divided by 4?
164.
Perfect. I had a feeling it would do that. All right, so now if you measure, you should have the correct calculation for feet. Yeah. All right. So, if we do that,
so I could make a pretty sizable road. What did we say? 8 hours times number of seconds in an hour, 3,600, divided by 6 is 4,800.
so you'd be able to complete this road today on this
So I
side.
could get 5 feet wide down here and then start on expanding it.
Yeah. And say you do kind of go outside to do it.
If I skirt the farms, that'll probably just
get
be
your
the
5
entire
foot.
day.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I
So
think that makes sense.
Okay, so 3 days to make this 15-foot wide,
Mm-hmm.
and then presumably half that on the other side because it looks like about half the distance just eyeballing it. 5 days to do the whole thing? 6 days to do the whole thing, maybe?
Yeah, it's about half. Yeah,
Okay.
it looks like at least on your part, if you're doing it alone, you'll be able to pack the road, for both sides.
Ooh.
So that's
I will.
Good
I will
thing you're
have
getting
at
started
least-
now.
Yep, we've got about a week. It'll take me about a week to do it.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think we've got kind of some good things for you because there's both a role-playing opportunity and like planning opportunity for you in the off hours, and then in the on hours, like manual changes to the world. So like on either side, it's kind of a useful, right? So yeah, I like it. All right. So that being said, let's go to Belzian. Belzian, I know you were looking for religious structures. You wanted to train people in self-defense, assist the tent city, and then look at the books in the guild. I think we
I've
did the books
accomplished
in the
half of those
guild
already.
portion already. Or you?
We did the religious structures and the books.
Yeah. I don't think you're going to have time for all of that today, but that's definitely some stuff for you to kind of plan out for the rest of the week. So, yeah, for the books in the guild, we learned about your father, right? Your mother and father.
We learned about the Belzian parents crew.
Yeah. Yeah. So just to catch everybody up, Belzian's parents actually were members of the Adventurers Guild. And he kind of learned about his upbringing a little bit, or why he was raised in a monastery. Um, do you remember the details of that, Belzian?
Not all of them. I don't know if I wrote it down. Because it's already written down in the book.
Right. So basically, Belzian's mother was a noble. His father was a shepherd. Uh, he was hired to kind of protect her on some journeys, and they ended up falling for each other. But because he's a lily shepherd, she had a choice to make and chose to stay in nobility and decided to have her child be a secret and not affect her claim on nobility. And instead of leaving her life behind, she left her son behind. So yeah, and unfortunately, because of that, Belzian was also not able to meet his father. So yeah, not probably your favorite story that you've read, but at least it brings you some sort of closure.
Oh, Belzian would be very stoked about it, but not terribly sentimental about it.
Right. But I mean,
He would
that's
have
kind of
probably-
the theme, right? You kind of have already, um, you've lived your life up to this point, despite that bit of history. So it doesn't change who you are. At least that's the sense I'm getting, right?
True. When he thinks of home, he would think of the monastery and like the fraternity there and the other monks. And more recently, family for him would have been like the party members,
Right.
who
Yeah.
he's very fond of. As for the religious structures, we did drop in on them in last session, so he knows where they are.
Okay. So yeah, maybe a couple at some point in the next couple days, Belzian will be um, kind of looking into supporting the tent city or helping people to prepare, um, and we can go from there.
Yes.
All right. Um. So I guess that brings me to Ulrich. Ulrich, I do not believe we got to you last time.
Nope, don't think so.
And that's kind of what I was leading up to. So, perfect.
Yeah, I do believe like I stated intentionality, but
Yes, I have that. So I wrote down. First of all, you wanted to kind of test out your oaths a bit after having learned or been reminded of the fact that you have this pesky little detail about your agreement to be a vampire is that you're now kind of magically bound to oaths that you make. So you were reminded of this, of course, when you made an oath to the guild and felt that familiar feeling of an oath come over you, right? So now you kind of wanted to figure that out a little bit more and what the details are, since you're not fully clear, and that's not always the best thing, because you don't want to accidentally make an oath that you either can't make or might accidentally destroy yourself before you even get started. So yeah. The other thing that you wanted to do is go demon hunting. You wanted to kind of figure out what was going on with the demons in Licht, and also is there evidence of the the demons that were here in some capacity prior to you arriving. Correct?
Yep.
Okay, so what do you want to start with?
I mean, I think Ulrich is, as far as the testing of the oaths.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's looking at that more as like he's in his he ate yesterday, so he's in a more human state of mind, feeling satiated. So I think it's more he's thinking about, okay, can I essentially create a kill switch if I ever become more of a monster than I really would necessarily feel comfortable with. That's kind of where he is with that. So it's nothing that he's going to rush into. The demons are a more uh, pressing issue, and really something that he kind of indicated to, I believe, Lord Dara, that he would maybe take a look investigation on.
Sure. All right. So
So
let's do that then. What would you like to do? And
Ulrich is.
go ahead.
Oh, I was just say Ulrich is going to be trying to trace back. So we know about the barn.
Mm-hmm.
But he's going to hit the streets and kind of hear if there are any rumors, any intel. I mean, he's kind of taking the same tack that he would take for fishing out dissidents, right? So, but it should be a little bit easier because presumably people are going to be pretty eager to talk about terrifying monsters, and in particular, since there clearly is I don't think it was just the demons, but also a necromancer or something in town. Investigating that is probably the most expedient path.
Are you speaking about
Because
the
we have
undead
the
incident from the other day?
correct, yes.
Okay, got it.
From this past 24-hour, like 12-hour period.
Yeah. Last
Necromancer in giant air quotes, but sure.
Yeah. Giant something that caused a necromancy.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So are you going to start up where the barn is located, or was located?
It's a natural starting point, and then from there, working back to Lieutenant Robbins, and then going from there.
Sure. So east to west.
Yeah.
Okay. You return to the scene of the crime, in more ways than one. And you see that the building has been completely raised at this point. And by raised, I don't mean IA, I mean AZ. The barn has been kind of cleared, and you can kind of see the footprint of where the barn was. Some ashy remains, but for the most part, even the ashes have been kind of cleared. It's now kind of a bare area. A makeshift fence has been kind of brought into the field and kind of giving this area a big clear space, so that the Lord's cattle are still able to be contained within this field. But also, the barn's gone, so they're kind of there's no real shelter for them at the moment.
Okay. I mean, with it being largely raised, I think Ulrich is really just trying to find any kind of arcane indication of arcane tampering here. We didn't really investigate hard, other than piecing together that there was a doorway made from body parts.
Right. Yeah. At the time, it was kind of a little bit rushed. Right. Yeah, as you were kind of being shooed away from the scene, or coming through and then being in, like, so yeah, not really a lot of effort at the point of entrance for sure.
Right. So he's definitely looking at it kind of that way, trying to see if there's any more magical evidence here that we maybe missed on their first pass.
Sure. What would you like to do to investigate that?
I think, I mean, he has detect magic, so probably casting that as a starting point, just to
Sure.
kind of investigate. Hey, is there anything in the area?
Okay. Um. So, you spend up to 10 minutes doing this, kind of studying the whole area. It looks like the duration's concentration up to 10 minutes. So, um,
Yep.
and it's not like original 3.5 detect magic, where the longer you kind of study the area, the more you kind of glean from it. So it's kind of like a
Right.
just how long you can kind of be walking around and looking at things. So, but the range is a sphere of 30 feet around you, so you can kind of see everything, at least in your immediate vicinity, as you stand, I guess, in the middle of the footprint of the barn.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can kind of see the outlines of where things are and kind of get a rudimentary guesstimate as to where you folks came through and where the door was. So you kind of study that area and then out from there. There is nothing really magical going on here. It If there was something magical, which there was, it has since gone, and there's no
Mhm.
current like remnant or footprint of it to speak of.
Okay. I, I'm not sure if it. Let me know if that's something that he would be able to discern within the first minute or two. If so, he'll utilize that full 10 minutes walking.
Yeah, I'd say in the
Further out.
first minute, you'd probably be able to tell, like a
Okay.
good. I mean, if you'd like to pair this with a skill check of some sort, you can, to kind of
Yeah,
assist you with that.
I would say he is trying to. I mean, he's investigating, right?
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
looking around, trying to get a sense of this is just kind of like a little aid of, okay, cool, I'm investigating, but also I've got my Witcher senses on so that I can, or I'm pressing into the R3 button to be able to use all my cowboy skills because it's Red Dead Redemption. Um, so he's definitely gonna do that. I'll roll an investigation here.
okay. Um, so studying the area, yeah, I think the biggest thing is, this area has been cleared. There might be some remnants from the original scene of the crime that might give you some information as to what happened here a little bit more. But it's I, I I guess being prepared for either rebuilt or maybe kept clear in case the door were to return or whatnot. There are people keeping an eye on the area. You do see that there's a guard posted um, more toward the road, but is definitely kind of keeping an eye on things, and you notice is watching you. He kind of nods at you. You get the sense that he knows who you are. But yeah, overall, nothing detect magic wise in your general vicinity. And since your spell penetrates the ground up to 3 feet, you would expect to see something. If there was anything buried beneath the immediate ground, you'd be able to see it, and you don't see anything down beneath the earth as well.
Okay. Kind of feeling this is maybe a bit of a bust for him, he would proceed on to the wall, to the barracks, to speak with Robbins about what he can do to help them with their undead problem.
Sure. All right. So the barracks is in the center of town, by the fountain at the town center. You remember Lieutenant Robbins was on the west gate when you spoke with him last, before you went to visit the Lord. So would you like to try at the barracks first or back at Westgate?
I mean, it makes the most sense to go to the barracks first to me.
Sure. Um, so the barracks is one of the larger buildings within the town center. Um, uh, Out of character, it looks the architecture is not similar to the exterior building that represents the Brooklyn Nine-Nine building. It's just a little bit more to the age, but it's made out of stone. It's got, you know, it might have at one point been something else, but it has long been repurposed as a barracks, a headquarters for the enforcement here. The When you go inside, there is a desk for you to kind of approach, and the desk and area behind it is blocked off by a wall, so you have no choice but to go up to the desk or go through a door to the side that is closed and guarded by an officer. It looks like.
Yeah, Ulrich will certainly go up and just, hey, how you doing? Uh, I'm looking for Lieutenant Robbins. Gonna see if I can lend a hand with everything. My
Robbins
name's
is
Ulrich.
Robbins is still to the west of town at the gate, I believe.
All right. Well, if you see him, let him know Ulrich Oakenhearth is looking on for him on behalf of Lord Dara.
All right.
And great. Ulrich will continue over to the gate.
All right, sounds good. So, over at the West Gate, things have more or less started to get back to normal as the day has progressed some. The stalls are not present there still, but there are more of the throngs of people that you experienced from the day before. So it seems like dangers can only last so long when faced with convenience, right? So um, you get the sense that tomorrow you'll probably see stalls back here and whatnot. You do spot Robbins up on the gate, kind of coordinating with a few other officers of the law who seem to be coming and going from this area as if this were truly the barracks instead of where you were just at, which seemed pretty empty.
Got it. Well, when I spot him, I like, Robbins. You got a minute?
For you, Ulrich, I can spare a couple. What's going on?
Well, I wanted to. I spoke with my cousin, and I wanted to just see if there wasn't anything I could do to help with this undead problem.
What can you do? Any thoughts as to what you could do to help?
Well, I mean, I have spent, really, since the war, my time has been pretty dedicated to rooting out dissidents, so I do feel like I've got a pretty good knack finding troublemakers. I was just kind of hoping, really, that you might be able to share any details you've already gathered with me.
Well, we can take a walk if you'd like. It happened just south of here. I can kind of point out where things were, and you can go from there if you'd like.
Works for me.
So, you were up here. I'm going to move you to the west gate. He walks you down this way. He tells the officers that he'll be right back and to hold the fort down. And he leads you over to this post. You see further down that there are guards that are posted along much of this area. Looks like there's more guards up above on this wall than there were the previous day. He points down at the area in which you had your scuffle yesterday, and he said, I believe this is where it originated from, somewhere in this area. We also found 2 other bodies here that did not seem to succumb to an undead bite, but they weren't also bitten at all. They were killed. One was shot. The other seems to have been killed by a blade.
So, I mean, these are. This is the area where I killed.
Yep.
My guys. Great.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he goes on to tell you exactly what he knows. One of them was stashed in a cart and only found because they were already looking in the area because of the zombies. It looks like this person was shot and killed by a single arrow. The other seems to have been he describes as being cleaved in half by a blade of some sort.
Yeah. There's something I want to check. Actually, with the blade, remind me. I seem to recall not bringing weapons with me, and I remember draining the guy, and I remember maybe magicking the other. Did I do?
You magicked him with your spiritual weapon.
It was spiritual weapon. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So you also went out of your way to hide the bite marks by slicing the neck, if I remember correctly.
Correct. Yes.
I did do that. Yeah. But what? And so, wait a second. So these guys became undead? I'm just trying to make sure I'm understanding this.
I believe last time we kind of went over this a little bit. So as a refresher, he kind of described that there were 5 people that all had bites clearly on them. And then one that had been a zombie that he thinks might be the point of origin because it doesn't have a bite, was damaged by a slash mark to the neck, presumably with a small blade.
Fun. Okay, well. The other question then I have. So, alright, so
this tells you 2 things about the lieutenant. One, he's pretty thorough with investigation, and is pretty well versed at kind of discerning how things could have happened just by the fact that he's pretty accurate in his recounting of what happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He doesn't have like that final element, of course, but he pretty much has an idea as to how things happened, at least in point of origin, and who was the originator, and that there are two individuals that seem to be connected, but he's not sure how, right?
Right.
So that kind of gives you a couple of warning bells in terms of you kind of realize you have to be
Very
careful.
dexterous.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I will. Am I? Maybe the measurement thing here. No, it doesn't. What's the length or the diameter of the city? Like
Um,
wall to wall, what would you say?
that should give it to you in terms of feet. That's probably
Okay.
a mostly accurate representation based on the meter measurement at the bottom of the screen on the bottom left.
Oh, was that a meter? Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. Bu- So we're within a mile here. I think one thing that Ulrich is going to do, but maybe not immediately, is he is going to be questioning the two arrow slinging individuals that he knows, and in particular, he's going to start with the sneakiest of them. And Ulrich is so I just want to make sure that I understand. So in total, you had 5 zombies. You're pretty sure one of them was your guy who was slashed up.
He corrects
And
you and he
that's
says
the starting.
six zombies, one of which seems to be the point of origin because it didn't have a visible bite mark.
Right. And are you telling me that I'm just trying to wrap my head around this. So I mean, what you use the term point of origin. So is it something that these guys are spreading? I don't. I just want to make sure I understand that because you mentioned someone who was shot up and someone else who was cleaved. So I just want to. Those sound like dead people, and that would usually be the work of a necromancer or something. But
Well, from
I
what I
mean,
understand, you just came from the land of Necrata, right? You're familiar with undead from there.
yeah.
So, um,
I mean, I'm familiar enough to say I have encountered undead from there. I'm not an expert.
so you've heard of like ghouls and things like that,
Right,
gas and
right,
things like that, right? Those are common
right.
things that I've dealt with in the past and uh, have plagued Seregen for some time, especially toward the deep south. Um, in my experience, these types of things all start with a bite. If there's one thing that I know about undead is that undead like to create more undead. It just seems to be in their
Right.
nature. It spreads like a plague. So
Well, this is what
whatever
I'm trying to
started
figure out.
this uh, continued it.
Right, but I guess what I'm trying to figure out here is you said there are these two individuals who are you're pretty certain are connected, and then there are these other individuals. I'm just trying to figure out was your if you got the point of origin, was it only seeking out other dead people, or was it seeking out living people first? You know what I mean?
Since these two bodies seemingly occurred the same night, they did not turn into undead and had no visible bites on them. One was cleaved in half, but I could see signs of a struggle around it. So presumably, these two individuals may have witnessed whatever caused the zombie to occur. So we're looking for a necromancer for sure, in your words, or somebody who wishes to spell ill will. Maybe one of the demons that you mentioned. Do you know of demons creating undead?
I'm not a demonologist. Heck, I'm just vamping here, really, and just trying to think about what it could possibly be. But necromancer's an easy parlance.
I suppose all kinds of types might be coming through, causing trouble. I was hesitant to quickly jump to demon. It seemed like too easy of an answer.
Yeah. Well, okay. So, but this guy with the arrow in him.
That's the thing. He didn't have any arrows in him. They were no longer present. It was just the body with arrow wounds, an arrow wound.
Okay, and where was that again?
He points down to a cart that's been emptied of hay. It's just a cart. You can see that there's some blood stain on the cart. And it says he was hidden within the hay there.
About how far away from Ulrich's victims was
About
that?
30 feet.
Okay.
All right. And then what about the other three? How far away were they? I'm just trying to understand the pathing of this.
So 30 feet down was where the split man that was cleaved in half was. I've never seen something like that. That was disquieting in itself. But then the zombies were further north of here, more toward the west gate.
All right. Well,
it was fairly easy to follow their footsteps through the streets. They traveled a block down and up the block.
Right. And did they? So, what did you all dispatched them? You killed them.
They're gone and burned. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Did they? Were they aggressive? Were they? What kind of?
Oh, that's why we killed them.
Okay.
They were too dangerous to be left alive, and
right.
only one of them I knew of. I knew him as a worker in town. The other ones, likely refugees.
Well, this is maybe more difficult than I was thinking. I'm usually able to investigate, or rather interrogate people, but if they're all burnt up, and undead, not a lot I can do on that. I suppose what I'll do for you, Robbins, is I'll ask around and certainly take a look around, and maybe we'll find this bastard who started this whole.
All right. Please report anything that you find.
I will.
Anything else I can help you with?
No, but hopefully things stay quiet for you, and let's hope the army, the military, when it gets here, is a smooth situation for everyone.
Well, with the army coming, I think it's only going to get more. It's going to get busier as time progresses, but we'll see. We can hope.
Certainly.
Yeah. Ulrich will walk away, and he's going to message Roger.
Okay.
And just say,
and that's why you mentioned, right, to see if Roger was a mile away or not.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And just essentially be in his mind like,
hey, just out of curiosity, what were you doing last night before we went to meet, our kind guild leader?
Can I sense motive Ulrich's mental message to me? Or what?
Absolutely can.
I guess that'd be insight.
It would be insight, and also do it at disadvantage, please.
Let me figure out how to do that on Roll20. There we go. Good news, I have expertise in insight, and the worst I can roll is a 23.
Are you trying to hide anything, Ulrich, in that question?
No, I think it's a flat question.
Okay. Feel free to give him what he senses with that.
Yeah, I think Ulrich is probably a little concerned sounding, and amused at the same time. It's like the kind of question that, or the kind of thing you would hear, like if someone were to ask about a kind of I don't know a good way to say this. If you stole the last cookie, which is like a very non-offensive thing to do, but someone said, "Hey, what happened to my cookie?" and looked at you very pointedly.
Mm-hmm.
What cookie? Roger will respond, keeping an eye on some old friends who weren't paying quite nearly enough attention. Also pointedly.
Yeah. Seems like seems like those old friends are really fucking stupid. So let's we got a little bit of a bigger problem than I think I anticipated. Not that I thought my my fun pact was gonna be like a easy rainbows and sunshine kind of situation, but it turns out those zombies were absolutely my fault. And they seem to they seem the one that I drained seemed to have proceeded to raise the other the other guy that I killed, and at least the one that you shot up with arrows. So, and then
just to clarify, to make sure you understand what I've told you, those two bodies, according to the lieutenant, were still just dead, and he still has those bodies. They were not afflicted.
Oh,
there were 5
okay.
additional victims to the one that you killed.
Okay, no, that is something I was definitely not gathering here.
Okay.
So there are a total of 8 dead bodies that resulted from this, 2 of which happen to be brutally murdered in some fashion, and the other 6 are zombie related. One of the first of which, of course, was his throat was slit, and definitely nothing else happened.
Yes. What you're getting at is from your first kill, 8 deaths occurred.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess you could look at it that way. I was going to say that there was one bite that resulted in 5 previously living people, presumably,
yes,
being killed and turned into zombies.
Correct.
And then there were the 2 collateral deaths associated with the bite.
Yes.
Okay, I definitely misunderstood that aspect. In which case, Ulrich will simply say,
yeah, so apparently I can't just drink a guy and expect him to stay down. So
if it were that simple, you'd be a corpse on the floor of Mayhenir's throne room.
Well, yes, but
I'm not sure
also
what you.
that's
I'm not sure what you expected, friend.
well, that was a ritualistic intention there. What I don't understand is I mean, I don't know. I just didn't. I guess I didn't understand that every time I get a little peckish, I'm gonna be creating an undead that's going to cause more problems. That seems like a real livestock. Not to use their words there, but that seems like a real livestock problem. I mean, you know, if my cow is gonna kill every other cow, then that's a bad cow. When I turn,
I believe the Baroness mentioned something to that effect, that the vampires were loath to grow their numbers.
yeah,
Perhaps for the exact
no,
problem
but
you describe.
I mean, perhaps my understanding was really a food shortage issue more than suddenly they'll be overrun with zombies eating each other.
What
Because I
what what
certainly
what
wasn't trying to guy.
what bigger food shortage issue could there be than your whole stock becoming zombies?
Mm. Eh,
We need to talk in private, in person, before I make my report to the flames.
yeah, no, I'm happy to do that. I don't think you're going to be giving them good information.
Ulrich, as an aside, in your head, suddenly the dwarven race being swallowed up in an undead war makes a lot more sense.
100%. Yeah, Ulrich will ultimately be heading. He'll arrange wherever they want to meet in private. He'll let Roger make those determinations because he knows Roger's probably a little bit more stealthy. Um, and ultimately, we'll meet up with Roger to discuss this all.
Roger would like to do it at the inn near the rest of the party.
Yeah.
The but um and Roger will insist to Ulrich that I want to be able to tell the flames something that will keep them from killing you. I'm not going to lie to them. You need to be able to tell them something that will keep them from killing you.
Well, now that's an interesting. Are we in person or in rings at this moment?
You're still in rings.
In the rings, yeah. I'm still working. Every 6 seconds there is a pause in what Roger says as you hear him say the command word for mold earth.
Yeah. Ulrich will say in your head, well, now that's an interesting point because I'm now wondering whether I should continue to quote unquote live here. So I suppose we'll have some fun chatting about that in a little bit.
You're no use to us dead.
Well, turns out that I may be more of a danger to you undead, so
you may be plenty of trouble, but you were plenty of trouble before.
nah, I wasn't 6 zombies out of one hungry night trouble, so we're gonna have to figure something out that's I mean, I guess I could just simply do it as a combat strategy, and I always have to raise the field after burn the corpses, pile them up. Anyway, we'll talk more about this in a minute, I'm sure, when you're done with moving around your Earth.
Old Earth. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, the way
Alright,
he's casting the spell, it does kind of sound like he's digging. Like it takes effort to cast, right? So I imagine that mold earth is just a slightly more efficient way of using a shovel, right?
Yep.
So you're expending less physical energy, but the same amount of mental energy, and it does take some physical exertion. So you're going to be. That's why I'm saying 8 hours is probably the max you'd be able to do in a day, and whatnot. But yeah, you can kind of get the sense that he's exerting himself. So you saying have fun digging your earth is probably not too far off.
Oh yeah, I mean you don't
Yeah.
get 28,000 cantrips into the day without a little bit of exertion.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So I'm gonna circle back to Zippo with his 3 rolls. Zippo, you kind of go along the river throughout. You're kind of waved away from the Wanderlust area, which is the port. They're kind of try and kind of tell you to keep back from that area since it's more busy and could be dangerous, especially with you being so small. Um, uh, do you want to try maybe on the other side of the river instead of where you're at, or are you gonna kind of be like, well, screw you, I'm gonna do this anyway?
Zibbo hasn't had bad enough words with any of them yet to, ignore them. So he'll go on the other side. Yeah.
Okay, all right. You just kind of circle around. The port is busy enough that you either can't hear any water elementals respond, or this is way too busy for any water elementals to be, present. There's just too many people. That water elementals kind of like isolation, like to be away from folks. The Atlan, when you freed him, he immediately left the city, right? The water elementals were kind of in an area that might have at one point been frequented by people, but obviously we're trying to keep people from being present anymore, things like that. So you get the sense that that might be why you're not having luck finding any water elementals. They don't seem to be wanting to be around people for whatever reason. And previous history thought about that might be because at least some of those people probably want to use them for one way, shape, or form.
Okay. Yeah. After no luck with that, uh, Zippo's just kind of gonna wander around town.
Okay.
It's kind of like, seeing what he can see. He remembers talk of necromancy, and he kind of wants to know what that was about, mainly because, his thought process is, oh, they rose zombies. Draco Liches are basically zombie dragons. I get that power. I can bring dragons back. You know, so he's definitely going to be sniffing around for that. He's not very good at any of the whole, investigation stuff. But he is definitely wandering around town. Like every time he spots an alleyway that looks slightly suspicious, he'll definitely peek his head down it just to be like necromancy. And his thought of what the necromancer will look like is exactly what you would think like a 10-year-old would think a necromancer would look like. Definitely covered in either the boogeyman or a man in robes covered in head to toe with bones and weird sigils and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah, you looking around, you don't really you see a lot of different types of people. In fact, based on the fact that you haven't had the best luck in Seregen in terms of, interacting with people, there's only been a select few that you've come to trust, and even then, sometimes they don't really work out the way you wanted them to. And the sheer amount of people that are here, you actually get a little bit of anxiety and apprehension. You kind of find yourself wanting to be in either a place of comfort, underground, or outside of the city somewhere. Like it's just kind of like what you're used to nowadays with the push. You kind of get, for this first time, you kind of get a feeling of homesick. And not necessarily for the mountains. I would say home is probably at this point for you, Eldrin or with the Dragon Clan. So you kind of miss a sense of people, and you kind of feel yourself wanting to kind of return to your group in some way. Whether that be your immediate group, the dragons or whatnot, but that's just kind of the feelings you're getting as you're coming up short with all your ideas. You're finding there's a whole bunch of people. A lot of people are kind of yelling at you that you're underfoot. It's just not like you don't get the sense of belonging right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So that being said, I think we're at a good point to go on our break. So what I'll say before we go to break is that I think accounts for pretty much everyone's actions for the day. So we'll come back from the break, kind of meeting back up at Adventurers Rest together, and kind of as a group, thinking about what our actions are going to be for the remaining 4 days prior to the army getting here. I know some of us have already talked about that a little bit, but let's kind of plan as a group what we want to accomplish to prepare for what's the next part of our journey. Obviously, some of that's going to be needing to find out information and kind of aligning with what resources the group will have at their disposal once the army comes. But plan for the inevitable march east. That is kind of what the plan is, and how to kind of better prepare for that, and what comes after the march, and how to better, account for the march, and things of that. So just be thinking about that while we're on our break, and we'll come back and start into that next part. All right. For those of you out in Twitch, we tend to take a break every halfway point of the stream for D&D at least. So we'll be going for 10 minutes just to do a refresh, reset, and we'll be back in about 10 minutes. I'll put the timer on. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, we are back from the break. Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for sticking around. So the group has now returned back to Adventurers Rest. I'll start moving your characters back there for the evening, where you are currently, kind of catching each other up on the fruits of your labors of the day, and discussing the future while enjoying a hard-earned meal. Somebody's talking. I do not hear you.
Oh, I hadn't started talking yet. I was just kind of giving pause for a minute, but why not? In the ring, Ulrich will go. So, when? Did you want to talk with the group about this, or did you want to do it more secluded, like?
We can afford you as much privacy as you need.
Oh no, I'm pretty. You know me. I'm pretty much an open book. So, hey y'all.
He does look around to make sure that there's no one like clearly listening in on what they're discussing.
Your paranoid self looks around, sees that there's a bunch of people in the room, and feels that it's likely you'd probably be overheard in some capacity in the busy dining hall. You get the sense that maybe if you didn't want to be overheard, you might want to
Ring it up.
go upstairs or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Holrick will say, "Is this food something else or what?" And then in the rings, simply go, "Yeah. So, bad news. Yeah, I don't know if this is gonna happen every time I eat, or if it's I just am gonna have to be a little more creative. I think I mentioned to y'all I fed for the first time really last night, and turns out my victim got back up and and create a little bit of a zombie situation. So um, I'm currently kind of the opinion that I'm either going to be starving myself or going to really have to make sure that I hmm, burn anyone that I eat. Um, but this is a little bit more of a sticky situation that I was hoping to be in, and I just wanted to let y'all know that because I'd rather not be a problem to y'all.
Well, that's certainly inconvenient. And I'm sure you'd rather be an asset than an ass. Do you think if you could maybe control Zombo folk? I don't know how that works.
I I truly do not know. Uh, I don't know that I love that, but deep down, without like thinking it into the rings, but like there's a part of him that's kind of calculating whether that might ever be useful to him. Like maybe the little hungry bit of him.
This tickles a little bit of your subconscious, and you do seem to recall the Queen mentioned that at some point, as you assume your power, you will have the ability to command undead, but at the moment in your primordial state, we'll call it, you don't have that as a feature.
Right. But you know, I did this because I really just kind of wanted to be a fixture for a longer time. Build legacy, if you will. So, you know, controlling an army of the undead isn't on my top priorities right now.
I would say controlling an army of the undead could be very useful right now.
Disgusting and terrible, but they'd certainly seem to be loyal.
You know, strange bedfellows and all that.
So wait, that means Ulrich is the necromancer. So that means if Ulrich drinks a dragon's blood, he'll make Draco liches that I can ride.
I yeah, I suppose that could be down the line, Zippo. So Roger, I know you're going to be sending in a report of some things. Ultimately, I very much have an interest, very candidly, in being considered for the crown, and I did this with the intention to ensure that we wouldn't have civil wars in the future. You know, succession issues, things like that. I mean, you get a king and the king lasts forever. Well,
It's all done, right? Uh, but knowing this side of me and some of the hungrier bits, I maybe overestimated my strength of will here. So I'm wondering what you think would be useful for me to give you here to report back.
Oaths.
I agree. I and that's something I certainly want to be. That's something I kind of want to play with. If you asked me this in my hungrier state, and maybe if I continue to kind of develop all of this, it'll be a little more tricky. But I'm of the mind that if I set up an oath that kind of safeguards against me going full monster, uh, that might be worthwhile. I'm not really afraid of a true death. I just don't want it to be for naught, and I don't want to leave the kingdom in a lurch.
Understandable. And we still need your strength to fight Orcus. What oaths would you swear then?
Hey. Ah,
You've already
sorry.
made one.
Yeah, no, I did. I suppose I would.
Be careful how you speak.
Well, he's
Yes,
not actually swearing the oath right now. We're discussing the oath, right? Like, those are two different things.
I don't know
I
how
feel
the
like
rules
I
work.
can think about it. No, I agree. I believe I will say it this way. I believe an oath which binds one. That's kind of the phrase that I'm going to use here. An oath which binds one to the protection of the oh boy of the weak, I suppose. I mean, but that's too broad. So I suppose really ultimately I would need to um, I would need two oaths in my mind. One oath would bind one to uh, put the good of the kingdom first, always, and the second would be to uh, ensure that one's feeding is careful. So those are the parameters that I'm kind of thinking on here.
I mean, the first one kind of counter contradicts the one you had to make, for the queen, 'Cause,
I
like
don't know that that's
if they ever go against each other, you're gonna have to put one above the other, in which case you would be technically
Well,
breaking
I didn't.
one of the oaths.
I'm not. I'm pulling up the.
I
Oath
could
of the
be
Queen, 'cause
misremembering it. I'm pretty sure
yeah, no,
the queen had you promise something about protecting them first or something. I could be wrong though.
there was pretty broad uh amount of freedom I was given. It was more not destroying her land or willfully attacking it.
Oh, okay.
I would say this. Talk of oaths and all of this stuff is fine right now for the future. But we got to get to the future. Ulrich, still a good man, fundamentally vampire, whatever you want to call it. Let's not handicap what could ultimately be one of our better tools in the upcoming fight by having a overly onerous oath put upon Ulrich. Now, to be clear, I am no fan of this situation, but as we look at the larger picture right now, we're going to need Ulrich to be lean and mean and not overly saddled. Basically, we might need him to do some shady stuff to be able to win this fight. So that's my take.
Then what do I take to the flames? What do I tell them so that they don't order me to kill Ulrich?
That we're in a bigger fight and they need to understand that.
I mean, frankly, I think you just tell them that I'm doing everything in my capacity to forge safety nets.
Would you swear?
And one of those safety. Yes, I think I would. I do think that it would be. I agree with you, Yarvik. We need to be careful here, but frankly, we're 1 week out from me having been bitten the first time. Excuse me. That means in another week. Well, no, not another week. I mean, just in a while here, I'm going to just be feeding weekly. But then eventually I'm going to need to be feeding daily. And I don't know how long or how quickly any of that's going to be. But I will say that, you know, we're going to be in the midst of a war, and I already have an onerous situation. So a contract that ensures that I am putting our people first is only going to help us, in my mind. If I die, I die. That's the cause.
It would be a heavy cost. But you're trying to ensure that you don't become a monster, so to say.
Well, yes, but also to Roger's point, I'm trying to ensure that that the flames don't come after us and have you come after me.
You don't want them to snuff your flame. Roger.
Yeah, exactly.
When you speak to these folks, is an omission of a fact considered lying?
It could be. I omitted this the first time to give us time to talk.
I see.
I expect them to be upset with me for that.
Yeah. And I would really put it frankly, Roger, if I were you. We have a dragon, which, as far as I'm concerned, is immortal in one land. And we have a vampire, which is immortal, undead, but immortal in a stretch of time, that is. In the other land, we are a land of dying here. That was my gambit. So they may think that's foolish, but if they're told the peculiarities of me making bonds and oaths and swearing, then they will see that in their favor, and I believe that they are crafty in a way that may be dangerous to me ultimately, but really was my true intention previously. And I'm going to level with y'all. There's a part of me. I'm feeling good right now, give me 5 or so days. I'm gonna be feeling less agreeable as I get hungrier and more in my vampiric ways. I am going to 100% become more selfish. I can feel that. So, the more we can constrain that, even if it is at my danger, I think the better.
I mean, fundamentally, it seems we have two needs that are at odds. We need Ulrich's power and strength to not be crippled so that he's capable of fighting Orcus. And we need Ulrich's power and strength to not be a liability to the realm so that he's not a threat to Seregen.
To my mind,
I mean, by default, we're all a threat to Seregen.
But
And
all of
they're
us.
just letting
Some of
us
us more
be,
than others.
so- Yeah, like, I mean, by default, I could just walk in and kill Marius right now. And, yes, I would get fought on my way out, but, I mean, by default, all of us could do anything dangerous. And just because Auric's got a little bit more of a power buff now, doesn't mean that they have to take it that seriously.
But you're not trying to be king.
Okay,
Yeah.
I don't want to be king, but Auric,
And
but
that's why that doesn't matter, but Ulrich does.
Right.
I mean,
Not everyone here wants an immortal king.
All right, I'd like everyone to think for a second if Zippo were king.
That wouldn't last very long.
All right.
Everyone,
I've
hey.
thought about it.
No, hold on.
Yeah, we thought
Is it
about
possible for
every home? Remember
Is it
that?
possible
It'll
for
be a
Wombat
dog
to
in
give
every
him-
home.
Is it possible for Wombat to give himself an inspiration point?
it.
You really want me to be able to re-roll things?
but no.
We don't.
My point is we just have him not be king, have him be someone who serves as a side king, someone who's always an advisor to the king, so that he can ensure the best case scenario for the vampire lands and for the treaties, and also still be able to help Seregen itself. I mean, it's a simple solution.
For me, what it boils down to, all of that BS is in the future, but we have an immediate existential threat to the entire realm right now. First, let's fix that problem. We can work the other stuff out later.
I mean,
Sorry.
as far as the flames are concerned, the succession crisis is an existential threat to the realm. They don't understand the demons.
And I guess that's our failing. I think maybe we as a group failed to properly communicate the extreme import of what we're trying to do. So do we need to talk to them as a group? Is there, I don't know what the mechanism would be to try to get them to understand, look, fellas, ladies and fellas, we're in a bigger fight right now. Table the intrigue BS. Let's go deal with this, and then y'all can work it out. Can we go to them as a group and do that?
Well,
I doubt they'd accept it, but I
Yeah,
can
yeah.
certainly pass along the message. I have made my attempts to impress on them quite how different Relic and Necrata are from Seregen. And they understand there are things out there beyond their understanding, so to speak.
Yeah, it seems
But
like
it's-
people of Seregen specifically are kind of wrapped up in their 3-foot world.
Sure. And from what we've heard from the people we've talked to, this was intentional. The people in Seregen who contributed to the building of the wall deliberately hid that knowledge of the other realms.
Why don't we just give them the book that shows what happens when the wall's taken down?
Do we still have that?
I assume. Yeah, I mean, that book is obviously good for something. We can give it to them so they understand the actual thing that's happening, the imminent threat, and then press upon them that, hey, demons, they're a thing too, and they're here also.
I managed to impress that much at least.
Right.
But I mean, to be blunt, I don't want an immortal king either.
I don't think any of us do. And we as a group can deal with that. And I'm sure that we will. Yarvin kind of looks at Ulrich like it's like he looks at Ulrich with the parental "I'm not mad, I'm disappointed" look.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna
Yeah,
go live with
Ulrich
dragons
will
after
simply
this,
say-
so
But
Fine.
we just got bigger fish to fry right now.
Absolutely. And I'm not suggesting that we need to get me up to kinghood right now or anything like that. And I want to be very clear here. I also Roger and I are the only ones who fought in that damn war, as far as I know. I know you all suffered in your own ways. Well, except for maybe Zippo. But they we are far enough along that you may have forgotten that succession doesn't always mean joy. And I know what a tyrant is. I get that. I'm in a unique position where I am only immortal as long as I am good for my word. And if my word is directly tied to the um, well-being of this kingdom, then an immortal king is not a bad thing. Because the minute that changes, the king is no longer immortal. I'm not a fool.
Question: was it communicated to you as a vampire? What happens when you break an oath?
Oh, we know the answer to this. They die.
Yes, exactly.
If they break a contract and the contract doesn't have provisions for what happens if they break it, that aren't death, they drop dead. Or so we've been told.
Correct. So, that's why, as far as the flames go, I think you report to them again the importance of dealing with this demonic plague. You report to them again the granted more democratic or at least representative nature of our northeastern neighbors, but still components of immortality there, and the immortal nature of our southeastern neighbors, and let them know that they have, should they want it, a king who desires the good fortune of this kingdom and will literally live or die for it. In a very, very literal sense.
I'll do what I can. They may ask you to make promises.
And I would expect nothing less of them.
Will you make those promises when they ask?
If they're within my possibility, yes. I mean, you know as well as I do that it's very dangerous for me to promise you that I'm going to agree to a promise I don't know the nature of. Provided that they align with the fortune of this kingdom, my intention is to make those promises.
Roger writes that down. um, well, I'll pass along what I can. And we should perhaps prepare to leave, should they not like the message that I pass along.
Oh no.
Roger, I need to clarify something here. Actually, maybe I need to clarify this. I know I've kind of asked this before, but how well known is for the rest of us that aren't Roger? How well understood is the nature of the flames to us? Because to me, they seem like the player. They're a deep state that we don't necessarily have an understanding of.
That is also my vibe.
Their reach is
Yeah, Yarvik knows nothing about it other than just what he hears you mention, what he hears Roger mention in passing.
yeah, or whatever we pick up in conversations in camp that may or have
Right,
not been
'cause-
well played, kind of thing.
Right, and I want to make sure, because like if that is indeed the vibe, and Ulrich has that tangential understanding, Ulrich's about to say something that is extraordinarily dangerous to himself potentially. But I do think it sticks within Ulrich's ideals. It's his duty to respect authority to those above him, just as those below must respect his, and his bond is loyalty to the kingdom, unwavering. So I do think that this would be, but I want to make sure that Ulrich has what his understanding of the flames would be.
So Roger's operations under the flames have been something you've been kind of going by in some way, shape, or form for some time, but mainly because they were aligned with the mission also set forth by the king. The Flames of Jean were working alongside of Gareth in the past. Now that there is no king to work alongside, and now finding Roger that they aren't actually really working with Marius, they're kind of working parallel to Marius, and trying to influence things. It seems either those motivations have been kind of there all along, or it's progressed into something to the state as which it is now based on that information. You know what I mean? The flames have kind of risen from the ash, to kind of help to, at least in what you've gathered, have helped to kind of be custodians to, at any cost, try and garner peace for the kingdom, and not have history repeat itself, right?
Yeah, that was going to be my question. Ultimately, are the Flame loyal to the realm, or are they loyal to themselves?
So
Roger would say the realm.
Roger would say the realm for sure.
Yeah,
Roger
because I
wouldn't know
asked that
enough.
question also.
Roger
Yeah.
wouldn't know enough to know any different at this point, and that's how he's been operating about the flames for the entirety of his time with it, out of character, of course. So Roger, based on the information that you've gleaned from the agents that you've interacted with, nothing that you've learned has been surprising, and seems to be in accordance with things that the flames have done in the past in some way, shape, or form. What is new is, trying to influence who's the next king, but it makes a certain amount of sense, right? So
Yeah.
Right.
Roger will say the flame's allegiance is to the realm, not to any one person.
Right.
Um,
Right. And which
when Gareth was named king, they aligned to him because he represented the realm. With Gareth gone, they are working in some senses with Marius, in some senses with the noble families to help select the new king, whoever that may end up being.
Right. Roger, frankly, I'm I'm not an idiot. I do think quite a lot about what I'm trying to accomplish here. And quite frankly, if they see me as a threat to this kingdom, I accept their judgment.
Very well. That ought to be enough, at least for us to do our duty. Whatever comes after comes after.
Works for me. So, would y'all? This is out loud now. So, what do y'all think as far as our chances of dealing with the conflicts ahead? Not just stuff that's more centered in and what I've been thinking about, if you catch my drift, if that rings any bells, but also as far as the arrival of the military, the situation with the demons, you know, what's everyone's feelings here? What do we want to do?
Oh, I've been working on preparing a road around the city to ease Lord Dara's concerns, though I can't build a bridge by myself. If he wants that done, he'll need to send people south of the city. As far as taking on the demons and helping Marius lead the army into Relk towards the Eternal Lands, it's what we swore to do, right?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we all the best laid plans, the enemy still gets to stay. We can still end up on the wrong side of this, but
If the wrong side of this conflict is opposing Orcus, and then I will die with my wrongness in my hands.
that's what I mean. The wrong side of this is us dead, and Seregen destroyed, and the world fallen into darkness. So, not a very very real possibility, but we're gonna try to make sure that doesn't happen.
I will oppose that outcome with my dying breath.
Well, hopefully, it doesn't come to that. I find a future of darkness and unhappiness and dyingness unacceptable, and will do whatever I can to make it not happen.
Hear, hear.
I feel like the people of this town are pretty much sitting ducks if any demons were to invade. And considering how we got here, popping up in a barn in the middle of a field, I feel like the demons could just kind of magically teleport inside the walls at any time, if they so plan on it. So, I think to help the city, I could offer some basic martial arts training to the regular citizens. Make their 4 HP go as far as possible.
I'm trying to talk to the elementals, but it's not working really well. This place is too busy for them. At least the water ones.
Have you searched for any other types of elementals?
Not yet. I think I'm gonna go around to town probably tomorrow or outside the wall and see if I can scream at some air elementals. Maybe get lucky. Maybe I'll try Earth. I know there won't be any fire elementals around because there's not a lot of fires. I might pop into people's houses and see if their fires are fire elementals, but
I mean, you don't just pop in, like knock and be invited in.
I mean, if they're not home, I gotta go in and check anyway.
You gotta be thorough for sure.
Uh, I guess I'll spend some time trying to convince cousin to start building that bridge.
I will spend the evening uh, making posters advertising a martial arts class that pays you. I will pay 1 copper per person per day to anyone who attends this martial arts class. I'll have to appeal to somebody to offer the space first, but I can look into that tomorrow.
Do you have money?
As long as I don't have more than about 1,600 students, it should be fine.
All right, good.
I got no gold, but I certainly have a lot of copper.
Yeah. Hey, really, really random thought. But yeah, I mean, this is really just a word association more than anything. But you ever think about the fact yesterday we were all eating orcas, but we're fighting orcas?
Whoa.
Kind of weird.
I mean,
yeah,
I know
it's
what
kinda
you're. I
weird
know
that
what
they're
you're
eating.
thinking, Ulrich. I also think when we kill Orcus, I should partake in his heart to see if anything happens.
Oh, I'm totally
Not
smoking.
quite.
Please
I'm
do
smoking
not
it.
eat the Demon King to gain his powers.
Listen. What if gaining his powers lets me, have Dracoliches? It's worth a sacrifice. It's worth a try.
You can
I'm just
already
saying-
have what Dracoliches. Just go to Necrata.
I'm just
Yeah, they
saying.
wouldn't let me pet him last time.
Try. You'll have way more prestige after killing Orcus. I bet they'll let you pet him.
Okay. I'm keeping the heart though, just in case they don't, so I can eat it, and then make them.
That's a good thought.
We'll let
just-
you have the first bite.
Well, it's a thought. It might be neutral or an even evil thought, but it is a thought.
I'm just saying. Smoked demon shank. Did you guys know this thing can smoke water? Yes.
Hear
it
me
can
out.
Smoke water.
Orcus sausages.
See, smoked orcus sausages.
Smoke on the water. Dun dun dun.
There it is.
It's really nice. It's got this great deep purple color.
All right.
I know. Just no.
All right.
No.
That's an
We're done
inspiration
now.
for Roger. Sorry, Yarvik, you set him up. He knocked the pins down.
This is very true.
Well, you know that Roger's mic was muted because they were laughing too hard. Okay, smoked Orcus. That's our new goal. We will slay Orcus and process him into sausages. A good as goal as any.
Okay, so far I've heard kind of 2 planning aspects. Well, maybe 3. So Ulrich is going to try and convince the Lord to help build the bridge. We already know what Roger's doing. Letting the flames know what he wants them to know, and building the road to the bridge. Zippo is planning on trying to recruit any type of elemental he can find. Belzian is going to try and help train the citizens in self-defense. Yarvik.
I'm going to help Belzia. Teach him how to shoot bow.
Okay, I like that.
That is very helpful.
Okay. And this is for the due purpose of protecting the city, not to be adding on to the army, correct?
Yeah, city guard, whatever. I'll teach him how to shoot from parapets because you have to. The way you aim when you're shooting from a height is different because arrow drops differently and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yarvik's spent his life hunting from trees, so.
I guess you wouldn't have that height advantage normally.
Zing!
These are like refugees and regular citizen folks who are probably generally scared all the time. So I don't think they would be a great benefit to like a fighting force outside of the city.
If they could just stand inside the walls and heave volleys of arrows over, good enough.
Every little bit helps. Hopefully.
Okay, so that's the more immediate couple days, 4 days we've got. So conversation kind of goes to a lull and turns to, so what happens once the army arrives, right? Um,
Well, an army travels on its stomach, and they will ravage any and all food and other resources within the greater area of Licht at an astonishing rate, consuming all the firewood, all the livestock, all the vegetables, any grain they can get their hands on. So the people of Licht need to be prepared for that. Do we know how many? Do we know how big the host from Jane is? Like, do we know?
Communications with Jordan have indicated probably more than 4,000 souls.
Okay, that's a lot of guys.
I mean, it's a fairly small army, all things considered. But
For some to be in a space the size of Licht, it's a lot of guys. But yeah, 4,000 people. That's if that's all that Seregen can throw at this. That's not great.
It's the pincer force. Assumably, there's probably a defense force left at the kingdom.
Sure.
yeah, excuse me. I mean, we've got the talking about historical armies, ancient era armies like way BC would be really massive than medieval era armies. Pretty small actually, because most of the people fighting were noblemen, and then modern armies obviously much bigger just because of population explosion. So Seregen presumably sitting in that medieval era armies that are in the couple of thousands rather than the tens or hundreds of thousands that older and newer armies would be at.
It's kind of
Yeah.
like
What was Agincourt was the biggest battle of its time, and it's like 20,000 people or something like that.
It was way less than that.
Was it? I know it was a huge amount of people. It was a absolutely sizable percentage of the European population at the time, but like minuscule compared to now.
It was a couple thousand people on each side. Like maybe maybe I want to say like 3,000 archers or something like that versus 10,000 knights or something like that. It's exciting because the archers absolutely slaughtered the knights because they foolishly charged up a hill in the mud. But relatively speaking, it's still very small compared to like the size of the army Alexander the Great was heading, or Napoleon, 1,800 years later, right?
But yeah,
it's like comparing the Canadian Football League to the CFL. But it's different, or the NFL. That's the one. One of them just has a lot more characters than the other one.
Yeah, but for medieval armies, 4,000 is small, but not irresponsibly tiny. And certainly for a place that just went through a big war, it might be all that they have.
Not to mention there's 2 cities that just got wiped out.
Yeah.
And
true.
Villages along the way.
Where are they going to stay? Like, what's the hospitality industry like in Licht? I guess they got the barracks, and they got the keep, and they can always make an encampment outside.
Well, if we're going for historical accuracy, they would they would take things from the countryside as they went and stay out in the countryside. So all those fields outside getting robbed by the army.
Yep, that's it.
And based on the time of year it is, we are nearing the end of summer. We are about to be in autumn. So it is just about harvest time.
I mean, that's the perfect time to have already mobilized an army.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Yeah, you can probably assume New Pod has been significantly affected by the army passing through already.
New pod, more like no pod. Probably not there anymore. I guess when the army shows up, we'd have to end up meeting with Marius and the gang to see what's up and what's the next plan of action.
Right.
Is Jordan traveling with them?
That's what it seemed like from his communications.
Okay.
Which I believe have mainly been with Roger. Because Roger messaged him first.
To Jordan?
Yeah.
As far as I know, Jordan has not sent me any messages back despite promising to do so.
There were on the way to the city, but there hasn't been one the last day.
Yeah, because he sent one to Zippo, and
We kind of summarized them by general communication of knowledge to kind of allow me to give you information that you know about the realm when you need it.
Sure.
For example, how many people are in the army?
Yeah.
Yeah, he generally messages in the morning of each day.
Ah, Jordan's coming. I bet Zippo would be excited to see him again.
It's kind of what I was wondering about. That's going to be an interesting meeting. We really have to keep Zippo from not blowing him up.
And try not to burn down any more barns.
It's the only fun pastime here. Wait, guys, what if I set all the fields on fire to summon fire elementals to help fight the demons? I think that would work.
I mean, God. Let's not jump to that immediately. Let's see if we can find some elementals first.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I feel like we'd be fighting demons and then also angry farmers. We're trying to make more enemies, like more friends, less enemies. Math.
Yes. Maybe we can do this the old "the enemy of my enemy is my friend" type deal. So if we make enemies here, we can then befriend Orcus only to backstab him.
An interesting theory. We'll have to see how it plays out.
And if we're wanting tips on backstabbing, when Jordan gets here, we can just ask him. And by we, I mean you guys.
I think the other item on the table to discuss for tonight is the pressing need of where the army needs to be, right? So right now, due to the party's influence, Necrata is sending aid to the Tear with an elven force to kind of help back up the clans who are defending the fortification at the Tear. But ultimately, they're asking for more aid and that's kind of why you've gathered the army in the direction you're traveling, right? So what I will do to kind of bring us to that point is I'm gonna bring up the map. We haven't seen it in a while because we've been sitting in Licht. So to kind of give a scale as to where we are versus where we're going, and the thought process there, and of how to accomplish that, and how long that might take.
Sounds logistical.
Now, I assume some of that is, waiting for all of the parties to assemble so that there can be a discussion regarding that very problem. But it might be worth to have at least some semblance of an idea of what needs to happen and what the direction is. And, Relic, Necrata, and the path between here and there. So it might be worth discussing that plan of action a little bit.
So when the army gets here, are we just going to send it straight to the Tear, or are we going to detour through Necrata, or just go somewhere else with them?
I mean, I'm pretty sure I remember Riff saying they needed help. So I'm pretty sure that's where we were going to send them.
They've also been in the fight longer. The lands of Necrata also, I just feel like they're going to be able to handle themselves against this threat a little bit better. I don't know why I think that, but I do. But I think we should definitely be aiming more towards getting assistance to Rift.
That does spark something that you remember, Ulrich, from your communications to the Queen. And I'm only saying this because it's been a couple months. Well,
Yeah,
not
it's
the
reparations.
but what I'm talking about is the last communication you had with the Queen was that Orcus had entered Necrata and was on his way south. Was so they that's the last you know about Orcus, and you know that he is in Necrata currently.
Okay, I mean, yeah, Ulrich will point that out and just say, yeah, situation's bad there, but I think we're gonna have to send reinforcements to the south as well.
We could suggest they split them 50-50. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of splitting the party, but splitting an army, maybe.
I don't think I don't think flanking is. I mean, maneuver warfare is always good, but I'm not sure how. I think it would behoove us to not send the vampires a bunch of food.
Well, no, that actually is interesting because I don't disagree with your concern there, but it's pretty under. I mean, it's pretty explicit that that's not the idea. That they are under a level of protection. Now, the lands themselves, that's a different story, but I do mean, of course, the peoples under the Queen's commands, they should not be attacking anyone.
That is an interesting problem, right? I mean, that's one of the reasons why the wall system was created, because they had to do something. I guess most notably about Necrata, but putting everybody back into the mix, and that's tough.
There's still a couple other problems. I'm pretty sure everyone fighting demons is going to need some kind of magic weapon. And we also need a way to move large amounts of people large amounts of distances, because walking there is going to take forever.
Very true. We haven't considered. We made much better time coming back this way, but I don't know if we can go. Can we cross a continent again with a whole army in a couple of days? I don't know how we do that.
Yeah, I wonder how many rocks are available for general transportation, or Bartholomew's even. And even if they were willing to help, getting them all organized would be a logistical nightmare.
Mm-hmm. And we're still pretty sure teleportation doesn't work over the wall. Or where the wall used to be. But actually, I don't think. Well, maybe Bartholomew's would still work over the wall because the border between the wall, is kind of anti-magic. And I'm no Bartholomew expert, but I thought they were magical. It could still work. Might not hurt them much. We should definitely send the dragons the help first. If we can't split the army, they are definitely in more dire need because they have, suffered the longest out of all of the groups. I mean, hell, it spawned literally in their backyard. And while we're sending them help, we can also mention the reparations. And Zibbo puts that in air quotes, by the way, that the queen wants. That way, we can get that settled so that if the vampires don't need help and are able to send help, they will. And then vice versa, if they need help, we can send the reparations with the help. Kind of two birds, one stone.
Hmm.
And I'm sure on the magic weapon part, I'm sure the kingdom of Seregen has to have a certain amount of magic weapons they can equip their people with, or at least their army with, to fight the demons, or spellcasters that can cast spells to make people's weapons magical. I mean, I personally don't use those because I just murder them with my spells, but those seem like a support type magic someone would use.
I think historically, magic in Seregen has been pretty uncommon.
Yeah, but there's got to be at least a few court mages. I mean, imagine it might be uncommon, but there's got to be people specifically picked for it because it's very useful. Hell, even like god-related powers and Zippo points to Orc. There's got to be a couple of those. Those definitely also very much hurt demons. So
Divine magics.
yeah, it's gotta work.
Mm, it's been a few sessions, or a few weeks IRL. Wolfgang also has a friend who was able to help us with magic. Looking at my notes here, I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, there's the gnomish friend, or not the
Was it one of his
blanking on the
previous
race.
party members?
Yeah, one of his previous party members. Oh, I have the note. Let me look. Doop-a-doop-a-doo.
While we're still in Seregen, maybe we can bring out as many heroes in hiding as we can.
Well, he seems to imply that that party member was in Harmony.
Chilling on a beach.
Otto. His name was Otto.
Otto.
All right. So conversation kind of peters out as the group comes into kind of thought. I'm trying to do things one-handed. It's not working. So excuse Amelia. All right. So Ulrich, you notice on the map that the orb representing Jordan has gotten ever closer to Licht. It looks like they'll be here in 3, maybe 4 days, based on how fast they're moving.
Wonderful.
Which is about on schedule. So it doesn't seem like they've lost any ground, despite Jordan's lack of message today. So ultimately, we are kind of getting close to time. So just to kind of figure out things. So I know what the party's actions are going to be for the next couple days until the army arrives, of course. So that's good, and all straightened out. So I guess to kind of finalize a few things, Roger, are you going to take some IRL time to kind of hone the document before you send it out, and we can kind of tackle that next time? Is that kind of your thought process there?
I'm not sure how much more editing I need to do for that, but yeah, it probably is a better topic for next session.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, I figured since we had about 20 or so minutes left, um, we'd have time to do that if you were ready, but if you weren't, that's totally fine. So we will leave that for next time. Just see if we can have that ready by then, if possible. You've done most of the work, so it's just about the finer details at this point. So that being said, I'm not gonna have you folks do watches tonight. I think at this point you feel fairly safe within the inn. Although Roger, you probably do your 4 hours, and then you're good to go for the rest. So you'll be kind of keeping an ear out like you did in the previous night when you listened to the zombie issue happening. Correct? I will take that muted yes.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more information that we have now, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Um. So thinking about nighttime activities, Ulrich, um, do you do anything in the evenings or nights in regards to your spookier side?
I think Ulrich is going to be feeding as little as possible. The what we established previously is for the first 2 levels of vampirism. It's once a week,
Correct.
so he will 100%.
He's stretching that.
Yeah, but with the warning to with two thoughts in mind. With the warning to the others that the longer he goes, the more of an asshole he becomes. He's not him if he hasn't had a Snickers, and
Right.
And then also does not really want to feed while Marius is in town.
Mhm.
Or well, wants to have as long as he can without a whole army being around um, and feeding. So I would say he would maybe go 4 days or
Okay.
3 days.
Got it. So you're planning to feed the night before the army arrives, or the day before, potentially.
So that he is his most human
Mhm.
to start things off.
Okay, that's a good note. I would say please write that down for yourself as well. Just because I don't know the next time we are going to play at this point with the holidays coming up. Some other things to think about in that regard then is the party going to be traveling with the army to get to the ultimate destination of where the army's going, or are you going to be going ahead? like you know what I mean. I I assumed that the group was planning on traveling with the army, but that line of dialogue makes me think that that might not be the case. So feel free to correct me there. What does the group think on that?
But they're going to be going so slow.
Yeah, it seems like they've been traveling 1 square a day.
That is normal speed.
That's how fast we go.
I mean, they catch up to us when they catch up to us. We direct them to the try point as quickly as we can, and then burn our last sending scrolls asking for status. Right. We'll tell them, the leaders of Necrata and Relic, we have the army when we have the army, and ask us where they want us to bring it.
That makes sense.
I assume the answer will probably still be head deep east into Relic, right? But that might not be the case. We'll find out.
Yeah, who knows what's going to happen in 7, 8, 9 days time. And that's just traveling from Licht after the army gets there. So 12 days time.
Yeah.
13 actually. Yeah, 13.
Yep. Zippo's definitely not a fan of traveling with the army, but he will do so.
And that might be something to consider too. The group, as it stands, the 6 or the 5 of you, sorry, 6 if you include Brunhild, are the experts as to what this army is going to be walking into. So it's probably worth assuming that Marius and his generals or other leaders and whatnot are probably going to be deferring to your expertise, probably significantly incorporating many of your ideas. So I would begin thinking about this army as a resource available to you in your fight against Orcus, meaning that no idea is necessarily a bad one, but you'll want to make sure that you're utilizing and thinking from that perspective of um, moving armies, what those armies can do, what you can outfit them with, what actions they might take to help better sway the battle. Um, think about the forces that you're joining and what they might need. Things of that nature are definitely things that are important to consider um, uh, as we move into the final battle. And that's kind of what I really wanted to make sure that we were kind of starting to orient to. Not only is us preparing for the army to arrive, but what happens afterward. So does anybody have any response to that line of dialogue? And that's kind of from a metagame perspective for sure, and that's something we can continue to talk about in the Discord. But it's definitely something I wanted to bring up in the game as well, because ultimately, uh, for the most part, the party has been thinking a lot more personally in terms of the campaign. This is an opportunity to really, like, you'll still be acting personally, but you'll be able to influence a lot more than that, right? So,
Yeah,
We're all going to
perhaps.
be influencers.
Does this mean I'll have to finally dig out a camera?
I would say so. It's 10:41 at night, and my brain is cooked. So I don't think that this is maybe not the best time to have an in-depth strategic conversation about like theater warfare. So maybe we chunk out part of the next session and we can do it in character, we can do it metagaming, however you want to do it, to like talk about that, like specifically. It's like, okay, like let's plan the action. I think that might be a good idea.
Yeah, that's probably something that might be worth hashing out in character or in the out of character here in Discord.
Yeah, you can do some basic stuff, and then we can kind of have a bigger conversation based off of the commentary in there for sure. And it's just something I wanted to mention, not to have necessarily tonight, knowing our time right now, but to kind of demonstrate where we've been building up to, the resources that you have gathered throughout the campaign in some way, shape, or form, how you've influenced the world is all starting to come to fruition in some way, shape, or form, both positively and negatively. And I want to make sure that I allow for that agency as much as I can, because this final battle will be the greater reward or consequence of your actions in the campaign, right? So there's a lot of elements that I have in mind regarding what you've done and what that means, but a lot of that also is your agency as well. What you do with what you have done, or what you know, or what you want to influence. Just that's something to look forward to, and something I thought was an important aspect of this. I won't say final battle per se. I mean, it does feel like that, right? But I won't call it what it is until we get there. But ultimately, this is what we've been kind of ramping up for, right? For the last, at least, this third of the campaign, it's been, getting ready for this conflict that has already started for sure, and now it's time to join it with what we know and what we have gathered. What work you've put in to kind of get us to that point. So, yeah.
Awesome. Epic.
Yeah, it will definitely be that. So, I guess any final thoughts as we kind of rest for the night, and start thinking toward morning of the next day.
Hmm.
All right. Well, in that case, I think we're probably at a good point then. So I will say morning rises, and the party awakes and is ready to do the tasks that they planned for the next day. We'll get into more of the next couple days next week, but I think we're on a good track for having the army potentially even arrive toward the middle or end of next session, or maybe even earlier, depending on things. So, ultimately, excellent session. I think some of the conversation was absolutely needed for excellent role playing today, but two, just making sure that we kind of recalled what's been happening the last couple sessions, since we've had quite a few points of gaps in our campaign sessions. So thanks everyone for being here today, and I really had a good time. I hope you did too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
next time is going to be 2 weeks from today, I would say, which would be the 10th of December. Is the 10th good for everyone? And potentially the last one of the year.
Oh yeah.
Works for me.
Okay.
I should be able to make that work, but I might end up being a little late.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, let us know. Obviously, we could also potentially, if there's too much of a conflict, do the 17th instead. But let me know if that's the case. We could meet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I won't know for certain until much closer to that, but
that's fine.
yeah, we could talk after the session.
Sure. And ultimately, like what I'm thinking of right now is I've chose the 10th, mainly because that way we have at least one buffer week in case we do have to push back for whatever reason to be the 17th. Because obviously, I don't think we'll probably be playing on the Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve. So ultimately, let's see what we can do. Okay.
All right.
All right. Well,
So
Sounds good.
bold of you to assume we have lives, sir.
well, I'm certainly not going to be doing anything. I have no life whatsoever. All of it's been jury duty or working. So it'll be nice to get back to a normal schedule soon. But thank you all for joining us in Discord. We will be back in 2 weeks' time, probably, maybe a little bit later than 7:30 or 7:15 or 7 o'clock, whenever we get started. But thanks for joining us. Next time will be session 80. It's going to be awesome. See you there. Bye, everyone.
Bye.